Stop begging for money, Mom. The words fall like glass, sharp, loud, shattering the air just enough to silence the laughter around the table, but not all the way. Someone coughs. Someone chuckles nervously. My brother-in-law keeps chewing. My hand stays frozen, fork in midair gravy-drenched mashed potatoes trembling. I don't blink. I don't speak. I just hold the pose. Rachel's voice still lingers bitter and seasoned, like the turkey she carved moments ago. She doesn't even look at me as she says it, eyes glued to her wine glass, her phone anything but the mother she just reduced to a punchline. And I smile. It's my oldest trick. The one I use when someone steps on my dignity, like a rug they didn't know had meaning. I smile because I can't let my mouth do anything else. My jaw clenches just enough to keep the warmth in my cheeks from breaking into flame. My sister Evelyn glances at me, guilt behind her eyes, apology already half-formed, but stuck in the corners. She mouths something like, "I'm sorry," across the cranberry sauce. I pretend I don't see. The room smells like butter and wine. Candles flicker. The dog whines under the table, maybe sensing tension, maybe just wanting scraps. Someone raises a toast about family. I don't hear the words. Just noise. Just noise rising above the silence I've swallowed for years. I lower my fork. I don't eat. I fold my napkin gently, precisely, like it's the only thing I can control. And I listen. To the sound of my daughter shifting the conversation. To the clink of glass, the scrape of utensils. To the sound of my own breath slowing as my chest tightens. I told myself I'd never ask her again. But it wasn't begging. It wasn't even about money. All I did was mention lightly that rent's gone up again and that my hours at the clinic were cut back. I didn't ask for a dime. I just said it out loud, like family does. Like mothers are allowed to share the weight without being shamed for needing help. Rachel took that as an invitation to humiliate me in front of people who smile with their mouths and judge with their forks. Maybe it wasn't just about today. Maybe it was every little favor I gave over the years. Maybe my kindness became a currency she thinks I owe back. I can clean up, I say barely above a whisper once dessert comes around. Evelyn insists I sit. Rachel doesn't speak. Her boyfriend offers me pie like I'm a guest at someone else's gathering. I pass. In the kitchen, I rinse dishes that aren't mine. I scrub her plates clean while she scrolls Instagram. I count the silverware, the same set I gave her last Christmas. The water is hot, scalding. I let it burn the tips of my fingers. I welcome it. Better heat than shame. Better the hiss of steam than the ringing echo of her words. I used to think Rachel would grow out of this coldness, that the sharp edges were armor, not weapon. But no, they're intentional, polished, precise. I dry my hands on the towel hanging by the sink, the one with embroidered letters, "Family is everything." I almost laugh. Evelyn slips beside me and says nothing. She just touches my wrist gently, the way women do when they want to say "I see you," but can't risk making it worse. I nod. I breathe. I smile again, my mask securely tied. And then Rachel calls from the living room, "Mom, can you grab the Tupperware?" Not the cheap ones, like I'm the help, like I owe her plastic and peace. I hand her the good ones, and I leave without a plate. I drive home in silence, no music, no thoughts loud enough to shape into anything useful, just silence. At a red light, I catch my own reflection in the rearview mirror. Eyes too tired, lips too tight. I whisper to myself, voice hoarse, nearly broken, "Not this year." The leftovers I didn't take would have sat just fine in my empty fridge. But pride, it seems, weighs more than cold stuffing. I unlock the door to my apartment. The kitchen light flickers, it always does, and I don't fix it. Some things are allowed to remain broken if they don't ask for help. I hang up my coat. The air smells like silence, still turkey scented on my sleeves, cranberry sweet beneath my nails. I left her home with a smile on my face and something rotting in my chest. I open a cabinet not to cook, just to look. The same cans, the same reminder. I close it again. Instead, I sit. No TV, no music, just me and the sound of an old fridge humming louder than any apology I didn't get. I replay the scene. Her voice, that word begging, like I'm some charity project she tolerates twice a year. like I raised her with coupons instead of love. The worst part, nobody said anything. Not Evelyn, not her boyfriend, not the cousin who once called me her second mother. All of them sat and let it happen like I deserved it. As if needing anything made me less than. I don't cry, not because it doesn't hurt, but because if I start, I might not stop. I run warm water over my hands like I'm still washing her dishes, like the shame is something I can scrub off. The faucet hisses loud in the quiet, the same faucet where I once rinsed baby bottles, where I taught Rachel to wash strawberries and rinse rice until the water runs clear. I told her life would always taste better if you cleaned it first, and here I am now trying to rinse away a word that stuck to my soul. There's a letter on the side table, one I forgot to open an envelope I picked up before heading to her place, addressed to me but not in handwriting I recognize, a bank logo in the corner. I pause, let my fingers trace the seal. Something in my gut shifts a tug behind the ribs. That voice inside that whispers, "Don't open it yet." So I don't. I place it beneath a coaster. I pour a glass of water. I take the only bite I'll have tonight, one last corner of pumpkin pie I packed for myself days ago. The crust is soft, the sugar stale, but it's mine. Before I sleep, I write one line in my journal, something I haven't done in weeks. Silence doesn't keep you safe. It just keeps you small. I click off the lamp and let the dark wrap around me like a weighted blanket I can't afford to wash. I wake before the sun. The air still tastes like yesterday, dry, thick, unsaid. The letter waits for me on the kitchen table right where I left it, still sealed, still innocent in its posture. I stare at it like it's alive. The envelope is still where I left it, half hidden under the coaster, quietly pretending not to matter. It's early, too early for decisions, too late for excuses. The sun hasn't touched the curtains yet, but the light inside me flickers with something sharper than sleep. I unwrap the seal like it might bleed. Inside, a notice. From a bank I don't use. The name printed across the top isn't mine, it's hers. Rachel Carson. I blink. It's a formal warning. A third-party notification. Apparently my address is still listed as her backup contact from years ago when she couldn't qualify for credit without a cosigner. Something I did quietly, like mothers do. The statement is short. Balance $30, $427.92. Status past due. Risk level escalation. I read it twice. Then again, each time the number looks larger. Not because I didn't know she had debt, but because she always insisted it was handled, that she had a plan, that she was fine. Fine people don't owe $30,000 and humiliate their mothers for offering help. I sit down, not slowly, not dramatically, just because my knees give. The weight of what I'm holding doesn't match the weight of the paper. My mind does that cruel thing it always does, rewinds. Back to phone calls years ago. "Hey, Mom. It's not a big deal, but can you spot me for the books? My car's acting up again. It's not that I need help, just faster if you could." Always small, always casual, but never returned, never truly acknowledged. I gave, and she took. Not because she's cruel, not at first, but because somewhere along the way, my giving became expected. Expected became invisible. Invisible became unworthy. I opened the drawer beside the table. Old bills, expired coupons, one of Rachel's report cards, third grade math B teacher's note. Smart, but impatient. I find another envelope with her name on it, a loan co-signed 5 years ago. I forgot about that one. Or maybe I forced myself to. It's all still here, in my handwriting, in my ink. This is the ledger she doesn't see, the one I never showed her. I don't keep records for revenge, but now I need one for myself, to prove I'm not crazy, to prove I didn't imagine the sacrifice. I start lining them up on the table: envelopes, receipts, email printouts, a mosaic of slow erosion. Outside, a car door slams. A neighbor walks her dog. The kettle whistles not loudly, but urgently. I forget I even turned it on. I silence it and pour a cup I don't drink. I sit again. The number $30, $427.92 keeps echoing. How many hours did I work in that clinic to cover her dreams? How many times did I say, Don't worry about it when I was the one worrying. How many parts of myself did I give away just to keep her steady? Now I see it. The line between help and humiliation. She didn't cross it at Thanksgiving. She crossed it years ago. I just finally looked down and noticed I was bleeding. I flip the bank letter over and write one sentence on the back. Some debts are paid in dollars, others in dignity. Then I fold it. Once. Tight. I don't throw it away. Instead, I slip it inside the book of prayer cards next to my bed, the one I only open when I'm desperate. Not because it's holy, but because it holds the quiet things, notes to myself, tucked confessions, names I don't say out loud anymore. Now her name lives there too. Not out of spite, but out of grief. I don't call her. I don't confront her. I just exist in the truth, in the number, in the silence after it. There's something strange that happens when you realize someone's been standing on your back for years. You don't get angry right away. You just feel cold. The parking lot is half empty, gray sky above glass doors in front of me. I stare at my reflection for a moment too long. My coat rumpled, my lips bare, my eyes. Not sad exactly. Not anymore. Just clear, dangerously clear. I've never walked into a bank with a plan before. Usually it's utility, a deposit, a signature, a small errand that makes you feel responsible for a few minutes. Today I come carrying something I can't hold in my hands, only in my chest. I wait in line. The young woman in front of me is giggling into her phone, tapping pink nails against the glass partition. The man behind me clears his throat too often. My palms sweat even though the room is cold. There's no drama here, no violins, no slow-motion stares, just numbers and choices. When it's my turn, I approach the counter. The teller looks young, kind maybe. But I don't want kind today. I want simple, silent. He greets me with a practiced smile. "What can I help you with today?" I slide the letter across the counter. His smile falters just slightly. He scans it, glances at the screen. Then softly, "You're Rachel Carson." I pause. Just long enough. "No," I say. "I'm her mother." His fingers freeze over the keyboard. I watch his throat move as he swallows something unsaid. I'm not asking for anything I cut in. I'm not asking for access. I'm asking to pay it off. He blinks. The words don't land at first. Like maybe he's never heard that sentence before. Not like this. Not with that name. Not from this face. You want to cover the balance, he asks, his voice lowered now. Yes, all of it. He types slower than before. The current payoff total is $30, $428.66. It's climbed a bit. I nod. The number's just a noise now. I've memorized it. I see it in my sleep. I'll probably remember it when I die. I hand him my checkbook. He takes it with both hands like he's afraid it'll burn him. You sure you want to do this? The question hangs there like an accusation, but it isn't. It's concern. It's disbelief. It's a man watching a stranger set herself on fire with perfect posture. Yes, I say. I want no record, no calls, no notes. Anonymous if possible. He nods slowly, hesitates. I knew Rachel. Years ago, he says suddenly. College. She was sharp, beautiful. He stops. She's still beautiful, I offer. He doesn't smile. He prints the receipt. The machine hums paper, unspooling like a ribbon of truth. Receipt number 1420. He slides it across the counter face down. I reach for it, then pause. Will it show the account name I ask? No, he says. Just a transaction ID and payment total. Good. I fold it once, tuck it into my wallet. It's warm from the machine. The ink still smells fresh, like the decision just became real. I don't feel triumphant. I don't feel broken either. I feel untangled. Before I turn to leave, he says something almost too quiet to catch. You know not everyone would do what you just did. I look back at him, meet his eyes. She'll never know, I say. That's the part I meant. Outside, the air bites harder. The clouds have thickened like they're holding their breath. I sit in my car for a while, engine off. I pull the receipt from my wallet. I trace the number. 1420. It sounds like nothing. Means nothing to anyone but me. But I already know. This is the proof. This is the line between what I gave and what I reclaimed. I take a pen from the glove box. On the back of the receipt I write, "For what you owed me, not in money, but in memory." Then I fold it again, slide it into the prayer book beside me, next to the letter from earlier, next to the years of evidence I never planned to collect. She'll go on Rachel, posting curated holidays, drinking curated wine, curating a version of me that fits her story, the embarrassing mom. The needy one, let her wear that version like perfume. I don't need to correct her anymore. I already erased her debt. What more could I possibly owe Evelyn Brings pie? Pecan from that overpriced bakery downtown. She always shows up with something sugar-coated, even when what she really wants to bring is truth. I let her in with a small smile and a half-hearted joke about her timing. She doesn't laugh, just looks at me with those same older sister eyes she's worn since childhood, a mix of love, suspicion, and preemptive scolding. "You okay?" she asks, setting the pie on my counter. Better now that I didn't have to cook that. I gesture at the crust. She doesn't smile either, just watches me. "You didn't call me back," she says. After dinner, didn't feel like rehashing it. "I wasn't asking about Rachel," she says. "I was asking about you." We sit at the table, the same one where I read the bank letter, folded it, where I stacked the silent evidence of motherhood turned invisible. I pour us coffee. She pours herself into the chair. "You left early," she says, still not eating. Without food, without a word. Didn't feel welcome to take anything I say quietly. She stares at me. "Linda." She shouldn't have said that. Everyone knows it. They were just too cowardly to say something out loud. Well, I sip my coffee. I'm used to silence. She sets her mug down harder than necessary. "You didn't just leave upset. You left done." That word lands. Done. Done doesn't mean angry. It means complete. Final. I don't answer her, because she's not wrong. She glances around the apartment. Her eyes land on the prayer book resting under the side lamp. I see her fingers twitch. She doesn't ask, but she knows something's in there. We were raised in a house where feelings lived in drawers, where apologies were folded into casseroles, where love was proven with chores, not confessions. So when Evelyn speaks next, it's with the voice of someone who doesn't want to be the one to say it, but will if you make her. "Tell me you didn't do what I think you did." Silence. "Linda." "It's handled." She exhales like she's been punched. She closes her eyes for a second. "You paid it off. Not a question. Every penny," I reply. She shakes her head. "You think that makes you noble? No. I think it makes me free." "No, honey. It makes you invisible." Again, it makes her think there's no consequence. There was a consequence. I paid it. And now she gets to keep the story that you're the beggar and she's the success. How is that justice? It's not justice, I say. It's exit. She stands, walks to the window, opens the blinds halfway before letting them fall closed again. "Do you even want her to know I take too long to answer?" "I thought I did," I say. "At first. But what would that change? Would she apologize?" Doubt it. Would she be grateful? Maybe. For a minute. Then what? I stare at the coffee. Cold now. Bitterness rising. Then she'd owe me. And we'd be trapped again. Evelyn walks over to the table. She doesn't sit. Just presses her hand gently on the wood. Right above the prayer book. "You know what I think," she says, voice softer now. "I think you're not done with her. I think you're just hoping this sacrifice will be enough to walk away clean." I don't speak. But love doesn't work like math, Linda. There's no clean, just quiet, just damage management. She lifts her hand from the table like it weighs more than it should. Her fingers tremble slightly. "If you're going to disappear from her life, fine. That's your choice. But don't do it thinking this payment made you whole." I stand to finally. "It didn't make me whole," I say. "Then what did it do?" I pause. Let the words come slow. It gave me the last word without needing to say it. Evelyn doesn't argue. She just nods once, like a soldier recognizing surrender. She picks up her purse, the untouched pie, and walks to the door. Before she leaves, she turns back. If she ever finds out. Make sure it's not from me. She won't, I promise. She leaves, and I go back to the table. Lift the prayer book, open it. The receipt is still there folded, warm from the memory of what it cost. And somewhere inside me, a part of me whispers, paid in full but not forgiven. She was 16 the first time she asked. Not begged, not demanded, just asked with that hopeful tone she always used when she wanted the answer to be yes before the question even landed. It's just a little help, Mom. You know, until I get my own card. She needed money for prom shoes. I remember that because I worked a double shift that week just so I wouldn't have to say no. She never knew that part, never asked how the yes was funded, only that it came on time. That was the first stitch. The favors came softly, at first slipped into conversations like confetti. Hey, do you have an old laptop I can borrow? Can you add me to your cell plan just for a semester? The apartment said I need a co-signer. You're the only one with good credit, right? I said yes, every time. Not because I was afraid to say no, but because I wanted her to feel like life could say yes to her, even when it always said no to me. It's a mistake parents make. We try to patch the holes we lived with so our children never feel the same cold. But patching isn't parenting. It's plaster over a rotting wall. I flash forward to a night in her second year of college, 2:14 a.m. She called me crying. Her car broke down halfway between campus and a weekend cabin trip. She didn't tell me she was skipping class for that trip. I figured it out later. Mom, I don't know what to do. I wired her $500 before the call even ended. She texted a thank you with a heart emoji. The next time I saw her in person, she never brought it up, not once. And then came the slow creep, the silence after transfers, the assumptions. She stopped saying thank you. She started saying, "Can you do it by Friday?" And eventually, "Let me know when it's done." That was the shift. I didn't even notice it until it was a pattern. Until help became a routine, until I realized I hadn't asked myself if I could only how soon, and all the while I kept telling myself I was building a future for her, lifting burdens. But what I was actually doing was trading parts of myself for peace, pieces of my time, my savings, my pride, one bite at a time. I remember one summer her rent check bounced. She blamed the bank, her roommate, a glitch in the system. I didn't press. I just paid it. Quietly. Again. And it wasn't the money. It was the erasure. The way each dollar she took became another word she didn't say, another birthday she skipped, another call she returned days later, if at all. My kindness became invisible until it annoyed her. The memory I can't let go of is the last Christmas we spent together before everything snapped. She gave me a scarf, wrapped in tissue paper, beautiful hand-woven, maybe Etsy. Inside the box, tucked beneath the tag, was the original receipt, $19.99 TJ Maxx, still folded, still accidental probably. But I remember holding that slip of paper and realizing she'd spent less on me that year than I spent on her Starbucks reload card each month. And I still wore the scarf, still told her I loved it, because pretending everything was even felt safer than facing how lopsided we had become. Now I sit at this same table, older, colder, and not sorry. The receipt from the bank, number 1420, lies hidden under the prayer book. And all these flashbacks are printed on my ribs like they're tattooed memories. People always say you shouldn't keep score in relationships, but what they mean is the person who gives more shouldn't keep score. Because the one who takes, they're always keeping tally of their comfort, and they'll call you bitter when you finally bring up the imbalance. I don't hate Rachel. God, I wish I could. Hatred feels active, purposeful, clean. What I feel is something else, like grief, sharpened, like love, minus hope, like hunger when you've already eaten but nothing stuck. I don't need her to pay me back. I don't even need her to say thank you. But I do need to stop pretending we're fine. I need to end the lie that my sacrifices were mutual. They weren't. They were silent offerings, stacked like receipts, unread, unclaimed, until now. I'm back at the bank before I even realize I've driven there. Second visit in a week. Same parking spot. Same gray sky. Same automatic doors that part like an indifferent mouth. Inside, the teller from before is still there. Marcus. That's his name. I read it off the tag last time, but now it's real to me, like someone you once passed in a hallway who's suddenly part of your secret history. He sees me before I reach the counter. "Mrs. Carson Wright, Linda's fine." He nods. His eyes scan my face the way people do when they've memorized someone's pain without asking permission. "Is everything all right?" he asks. It's a simple question, but somehow it sounds honest, like he actually wants to know. I place a folded envelope on the counter. Not from the bank this time, just a printed confirmation from the payment, the official receipt. The one I requested in case the transaction didn't go through. I just wanted to make sure there were no complications, no reversals, no mistakes. He opens it carefully. His fingers are long and smooth, the way people in quiet jobs often have, like their hands have learned to move gently through the world. He types something into the screen. "No issues," he confirms. "Paid in full. Cleared. The balance is 0. That phrase hits me in a place I didn't expect. Balance is 0. Not just her debt. Not just the account. But maybe the space between us, the years of reaching out and being handed silence. The echo chamber of motherhood with no return address. Maybe that space is empty now, too. "You didn't have to come back," Marcus says, his voice soft. "I wanted to see it on the screen. I wanted to see the 0. He studies me for a moment. Not in a romantic way, not even in a curious one, just human. "It's rare," he says. "What is parents coming in to clean things up this way? Usually they co-sign, argue, send angry emails. You just paid. Quietly." I smile, but it doesn't reach my cheeks. Well, I say I've done louder things. None of them ever worked. He hesitates, then lowers his voice. "Rachel was something else. Back in college, she was magnetic. She'd walk into a room and you'd think that's someone who's going places." I nod. "She still walks like that. But now she just walks past me." He shifts his weight behind the counter. I get the sense he wants to say something else, maybe a question, maybe a warning. But he holds it. Instead, he taps a few keys prints, another receipt. Transaction ID number 1420. The paper curls slightly as it emerges from the machine. He picks it up and offers it to me, but not immediately. He holds it out the way a doctor might hand you a scan. "Do you want a copy?" "No," I say. Then pause. "Yes, I want one more, but only if I can watch it print again." He raises an eyebrow, then does it anyway. The sound is soft but deliberate, that little electronic zhirk as the machine feeds paper forward. It sounds like closure. When I take the paper from him, our fingers don't touch, but the weight of the gesture lands anyway. "Thank you, Marcus. You didn't have to do it," he says again. I look at the receipt. I know. Back in the car, I place the second receipt beside the first. They're identical, but one feels different. One feels earned. I don't go straight home. I drive nowhere, just keep the road beneath me. The radio's off. The sky's low. At a red light, I pull out a pen and write on the back of the second receipt, "One for the books, one for the fire." I fold it, slide it into the visor above my seat, let it live there watching me. Just in case I ever forget what it costs to shut the ledger between us. She doesn't know, and maybe she never will. But someone does. I do. And Marcus, that's enough. I don't go to Rachel's house for leftovers this time. I don't send a follow-up message. No thanks for dinner. No hope you got home safe. No, I'm fine. Let her wonder. Or not. It's Sunday night, and the apartment feels like it's holding its breath. The quiet isn't heavy. Not anymore. Now it feels like space. Like I've finally carved out a room where no one's allowed to reach in and take. I open the linen drawer. Tucked beneath faded hand towels and oven mitts I never use, I find the old Thanksgiving tablecloth. It's ivory stitched with gold leaves. Rachel picked it out 5 years ago when she hosted her first grown-up dinner. She didn't pay for it. She added it to my cart while we were at HomeGoods. said it made her feel like someone who had it all together. I let her have that. I always let her have things. I unfold the cloth and spread it out across my small table. It still smells faintly of cinnamon and red wine memory notes. It's wrinkled in the middle, creased where she spilled gravy 2 years ago and never really scrubbed. I smooth it out with the flat of my palm, not because I care how it looks, but because it feels like touching a version of us that no longer exists. There are no plates, no candles, no centerpiece, just the cloth, and a single chair pulled out facing mine, the empty chair. It was always for her, even when she didn't show, even when she came late, even when she left early complaining of a headache or an early meeting or something she'd forgotten. I always kept that chair ready just in case she remembered how to need me, not for money, not for favors, but for presence. Now I stare at that space and feel nothing, no ache, no hope, no need, and that might be the most painful thing of all. I walk to the kitchen, open the fridge, pull out a single portion meal, those sad little microwave dinners they pretend are hearty. It's roast turkey, ironically. I didn't plan it that way. But life has a sense of humor when it's done apologizing. I heat it. Plastic film, 2 minutes, stir 2 more. The ritual of not caring. I place the tray on the table beside a glass of water. No wine tonight. Not because I'm sad, but because sadness implies longing. And I'm past that. Before I sit, I pull open the drawer by the radiator. Inside, where I keep old candles and loose batteries, is a photo. Thanksgiving 2019. Rachel is standing behind me, arms wrapped around my neck. She's laughing. I'm smiling. But now I look closer and I see it. My eyes are already starting to fade. I flip the photo over. On the back in her handwriting, "To the woman who gave me everything." No date, no signature, just that line. Everything. What a word. What a wound. I slide the photo into a small envelope and tuck it under the tablecloth, under the wrinkle, the gravy stain. Let it live there. Let her love or the performance of it stay hidden under fabric no one eats on anymore. I eat in silence. No phone, no TV, no distractions. Just me, my plastic tray, and the sound of absence chewing at the edges of the room. When I finish, I wash the single fork, dry it, return it to its slot. Then slowly, deliberately, I fold the tablecloth again. Not gently, not with ceremony, just folded, like closing a book that no longer reads the same. I place it back in the drawer, this time underneath everything else, under the towels, under the mitts, out of reach. And I don't pull the empty chair back in. I leave it out, facing the wall, not as punishment, but as declaration. There are 27 drafts in my email folder, all of them titled the same about Thanksgiving. I open the most recent one dated the morning after. It begins, "Rachel, I want you to know how deeply your words cut me. No punctuation, no signature, just a beginning without breath. I don't remember writing it, but there it is, sitting like a bruised apple I never had the nerve to throw away. The second one is shorter. I paid your debt, $30,428. You don't have to thank me. You probably won't. I remember that one. It came after the bank visit, after Marcus printed the receipt, and I sat in the car thinking about what justice would sound like if I let it speak. But I didn't hit send, not because I was scared, because I was done. There's a difference. Draft number 9 is a list. Just a list. Prom shoes. Cosigner on apartment. Car battery. 2014. Cell phone plan. Books for her LSAT prep she never took. Her dog's surgery. Christmas 2017. Rent 3x. Starbucks reloads. Therapy copay. Loan payoff. And at the bottom, total 0. Thank yous. Final balance me. I nearly deleted that one, but I couldn't. Because there's something about naming the history that makes it real, that proves I didn't imagine it, even if she insists I exaggerated everything. I scroll down to draft 22. It says I would have taken less if it meant you stayed kind. That one hurts the most, because it's the most honest. The cursor blinks at me now like it's daring me. It asks, what is silence worth if it never gets witnessed? I click to close it, not delete, just close. Because silence doesn't mean erasure. It means the story stays mine. My phone buzzes. It's Evelyn. Text message, 9:44 p.m. Rachel just posted a pic of Thanksgiving. "You're cropped out." The caption says, "Thankful for chosen family." I'm sorry. I don't reply. What could I possibly say that wouldn't pull me back into the place I just escaped? She can curate her narrative, filter it, wrap it in hashtags, frame it in golden hour light. But no filter erases a debt, and no caption rewrites a receipt. I walk over to the book, the one where I've kept everything. Letters, receipts, folds of hurt I never dared iron flat. I open it. There's the letter from the bank, the first receipt, the second one for the fire, and now a photo. I printed it after Evelyn texted me. Rachel's Thanksgiving post, smiling, surrounded by candles and charcuterie, perfectly posed, perfectly not me. I printed it, not to keep it, to remind myself. This isn't about revenge. This is about clarity. I take out the photo, fold it in half, then again until her face is gone and only the edge of a wine glass remains. I tuck it behind the receipt, the one with the note, one for the books, one for the fire. I light a candle, not for warmth, not for ritual, just for something small I can control. And beside that flame, I write one last letter, not an email, not to send, just a real one. Paper, ink, hand. Rachel. You won't know I did this. You'll never say thank you, and that's okay. I didn't do it so you'd owe me. I did it because I refused to let debt, yours or mine, be the only thing tying us together. You said I was begging. You forgot I already gave. I forgive you, not because you earned it, but because I earned peace. You're free. And so am I. Mom. I fold it. Not to mail, just to close the chapter. I place it in the book. One layer deeper than everything else, where only I can feel its weight. Then I blow out the candle. The smoke curls, like a whisper that knows when it's been heard. The kitchen light flickers again, still not fixed, still allowed. But now it flickers like punctuation, not a cry for help. Just a quiet stutter in the rhythm of my day. I let it blink, let it hum. The fridge moans low and metallic like it's aged with me. I open it. Leftovers, this time my own. Turkey I made for myself. Stuffing I seasoned the way I like it, not the way Rachel used to wrinkle her nose at. No audience to feed, no performance to host, just a plate, a body, a woman who stayed. I set the table, one setting, one fork, no cloth. I do not take the empty chair from the wall. I leave it there, its back turned quiet in its retreat. It no longer mourns. It simply doesn't belong. After I eat, I pull out the receipt again. 14:20. Still folded, still sharp along the crease. Paper doesn't age the way people do. It holds. I slide it under a magnet on the fridge, not to showcase, just to remember. Because sometimes proof isn't about justice. It's about anchoring yourself in a world that keeps shifting the story. There's a scarf on the hook by the door, the one from Christmas. I hold it, trace the threads. The tag's long gone, but I remember the number 1999. It used to sting. Now, it just speaks. This is what she thought I was worth. But the truth is more complicated than that. Now it says, this is what she could give. I loop it around my neck, wear it not in forgiveness, but in understanding. Because closure isn't about rewriting the facts. It's about no longer needing them to be different. I sit on the couch and open my journal, the one I left untouched for months. There's a line I wrote weeks ago. Silence doesn't keep you safe, it just keeps you small. I cross it out. Then I write, silence isn't absence, it's authorship. And I've finally taken the pen back. The mail arrives in the afternoon. Just 2 envelopes, a grocery flyer, and a Christmas card. The card is from my dentist. But the flyer is interesting. Front page holiday deals for those who give too much. I almost laugh. I almost tape it next to the receipt. Instead, I tear off the words, "give too much," and toss them in the trash. That night, I light the candle again. Same one. Wick burned low now, but it still glows. Beside it, I place the envelope, the handwritten letter I never sent. I read it again. Then I fold it tighter. And I do something I didn't plan to. I tuck it inside the scarf. Not to keep, not to pass on, just to let it rest. One memory wrapped in another. Two pieces of truth, hers and mine, tangled but folded. Neither sent, both seen. I don't call Evelyn. I don't check if Rachel's posted again. Some stories continue without an audience. Some truths settle without applause. And sometimes not reaching out is the reaching. The light flickers again. This time it steadies, for a moment, just long enough. There's a question I've been circling since the silence set in. Not why I did it, not even if I regret it. But this: can love be called love if it asks to be noticed? I always said I didn't want anything back. I told myself and everyone else that I gave because it was my nature, because that's what mothers do, because that's what I do. But if that were true, why does the silence feel so heavy? Why does the absence of thank you feel like theft? Maybe I didn't give as freely as I thought. Maybe I gave hoping I'd be understood. Maybe I wasn't feeding her. I was trying to earn my place, even in my own daughter's life. I think about my own mother. She never said "I love you" out loud. She baked it into pie crusts, pressed it into creased collars, tucked it under thick quilts in drafty bedrooms. But I remember the one time I told her I didn't like something she made. I saw her entire face fall. Not because I hurt her feelings, but because I rejected the language she used to speak love. And now I wonder, did Rachel ever even know how I was loving her? Or did I keep changing dialects without ever teaching her how to hear me? What if I never said "I'm proud of you" because I thought buying her books proved it? What if I never held her when she cried because I was already transferring the money before the tears dried? What if she thought I was trying to control her when I believed I was rescuing her? Control. That's a bitter word. It leaves residue. But I can't lie. There were times I wanted her to need me, because it was the only version of closeness we had left. The calls only came when the balance was low. The visits only happened when the lease was due. So when I stopped hearing from her, I assumed she'd become self-sufficient. And when I kept hearing from her, I told myself she still loved me. Is that love? Or is that leverage? I said I paid off the debt in silence, but I told Evelyn. And I drafted those emails, and I folded receipts into symbolism. Is that silence, or a sermon with the sound turned down? I didn't want to shame her. I didn't want her to suffer. But part of me wanted her to realize, to wake up one day, see that number vanish from her credit report, and fall to her knees in revelation. That didn't happen. She never noticed. She moved on. She posted a photo. She called someone else family. And I was just a blip, a line item she no longer reviewed. So what does that make me? A saint, a martyr, a fool? Or just a mother who learned too late that giving and being seen are not the same thing? I walk to the kitchen. Pour tea I don't really want. I glance at the fridge, the receipt still there. A little curled at the edges now. Ink fading just slightly, like maybe even proof learns to forget. I sit at the table, my journal open in front of me. I turn to a blank page. Write only one sentence: I gave what I had, but I also needed something I didn't ask for. I stare at that line for a long time. Let it echo. Let it settle. Because the paradox isn't that I gave too much. It's that I gave to be loved, but I hid the part of me that needed loving in return. Rachel never saw it. Maybe I never showed it. Maybe I gave like a ghost. And now I'm grieving the echo that never answered back. The box isn't large, just a plain cardboard cube, the kind you'd use to mail books or keep the last things you can't quite throw away. I line it with soft tissue. Not for presentation, for cushioning, for care. It's not a gift box. It's not a message. It's a seed, buried not sent, a box for someone else's future reckoning. I start with the scarf, folded, not rolled, smoothed once with my hand before I place it in the bottom. The wool still holds a hint of perfume, Rachel's, I think. Faint, vanished, but still claiming space. Next, the photo, the one from Thanksgiving, the one where I was cropped out. I printed 2 copies, one I burned, one I kept. I tuck it beneath the scarf face down, not as punishment, as proof that some people will rewrite you and you'll still survive the edit. Then the receipt. 1420, original print, still sharp. I don't frame it. I don't annotate it. I don't highlight the number. Just fold it once the same way I did in the bank and place it in an unsealed envelope. On the outside I write, "In case you ever wonder." No name, no address. Just context for someone who may one day be brave enough to ask the right question. Finally, the letter, not the angry drafts, not the line item list, the one I wrote by candlelight, the one that begins, "You won't know I did this." I reread it once. Don't change a word. I don't add "love, Mom." I don't need to. The whole thing is already blood-signed. I place it on top of everything else. No weight, no fanfare, just final. I seal the box, not with tape, with string. A quiet maternal knot, the kind used to bundle blankets or cradle secrets. Then I place it at the back of the closet. Not hidden, just deep enough to require intention. If she ever comes back, if she ever looks, if her fingers ever brush the edge of curiosity, she'll find it. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, maybe not ever. But the echo will be there, waiting. I clean the kitchen, wipe down the counter, turn off the flickering light. Everything ordinary, everything sacred. Later I call Evelyn. "You don't need to worry," I say. "I wasn't worried," she replies. "I was waiting." For what? For you to stop needing her to say anything. There's a pause. "I'm close," I say. "Close as peace," she answers. I smile even though she can't see it. The apartment hums, not loud, not empty, just full enough with something that no longer aches. I sit by the window. A bird lands on the ledge, hops twice, flies off. No message, no meaning, but maybe a metaphor if I want one. I don't need one today. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not make someone carry the weight of what you did for them. Sometimes the proof that you love them is the fact that you let them believe they were never in debt. It's a Sunday, not Thanksgiving, just a plain, irrelevant Sunday. But that's the point. Some endings don't wear costumes. They don't announce themselves with grief. They just arrive and settle, like dust that finally stops moving. I wake early. The air is cool. The light is soft. I don't make tea. I don't write. I just sit on the edge of the bed with the receipt in my hand. Hemhybrin 1420. I've held it so many times it's creased like skin. It doesn't shake anymore. Not in my hand, not in my chest. It's just a number. Just a thing that once meant pain. I open the prayer book, the one where I used to keep the letter, the receipts, the folded photo. It's empty now. Just pages. Inkless. Forgiving. I slide the receipt inside one last time, but not as evidence. As a bookmark, because I've turned the page, literally, and I want it to stay there. I walk to the window, open it. The air is crisp, a breeze with no intention. It moves nothing, not the curtains, not me, but it exists. And so do I, still here, still soft. The scarf is hanging on the doorknob. I take it down. I wrap it around the candle, not to burn, just to hold. Like one final embrace between the giver and the forgetting. Then I light the candle. It flickers once, then steadies. I sit at the table, 2 chairs, mine pulled close, the other still turned away. I don't move it. I nod toward it slightly, like greeting an old friend who isn't coming inside. Then I speak, not loud, not for her, just out loud enough for the truth to stand up straight. "You don't owe me. I'm done collecting." A pause. "I forgive you anyway." I take a piece of paper, plain, unlined. I write one sentence. "I loved you in silence because I didn't know how to speak what I needed." I fold it, slip it into the spine of the prayer book where the pages naturally part. A second bookmark, a second truth. In the hallway, I find a small, padded envelope, already addressed. Rachel's name, no return address. I tuck one thing inside. The second copy of receipt number 1420. Nothing else. No letter, no explanation, just a note scribbled across the top. This is not a bill. It's just the only way I knew how to say I was done. I don't mail it. I place it in the box, the one in the closet, on top of everything, like the last word that doesn't need to be said. Then I go outside, not for escape, for air. There's a tree nearby, half bare, half golden, still shedding. I sit on the bench beneath it, close my eyes, breathe, and in that moment I realize something small and heavy. The debt wasn't hers, it was mine. The debt of waiting to be seen, the cost of needing to be heard, the weight of performing value in a world where quiet women are so easily erased. And I paid it, in full. Receipt number 1420 wasn't hers, it was mine, signed in sacrifice, stamped in silence. But I don't need it anymore. I open my hand. Let the wind take the smallest corner of the copy I brought with me. It lifts gently, flutters once, catches a draft, and disappears down the street. Gone, not lost, just released. I lean back, let the sun fall across my face, and for the first time in years, I don't feel like someone's mother. I just feel like myself.